Welcome to a tour of Lindos Acropolis, a spectacular archaeological site in the heart of Rhodes Island, Greece. This journey will take us back in time, revealing unique spots, ancient monuments, and breathtaking views. In this video, I will lead you through the Acropolis of Lindos and show what it has to offer. Namely, the Temple of Athena Lindia, dating from around 300 BC. A unique relief of the Triemiolia, the characteristic type of ancient Rhodian warship. The propylaea of the sanctuary, also dating from the 4th century BC. The Castle of the Knights of St. John. Greek Orthodox Church of St. John, from the 13th century, and much more. According to Greek mythology, Lindos was founded by Danaos, son of the king of Egypt, the country, who fled to Rhodes with his 50 daughters, fearing his brother, ironically named Egypt, and his 50 sons. Their father had appointed these sons as Egypt's new rulers. Confusing, isn't it? Danaos and his daughters built a temple in Athena's honor, who helped them escape, then continued their journey to mainland Greece, reaching Argos, where Danaos ruled for many years. But that's just the legend. The Acropolis of Lindos is a natural citadel on a rocky outcrop above the modern town. It was fortified by the Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, the Knights of St. John, and the Ottomans. Lindos, or Lindos, was one of the most significant towns in ancient Rhodes, located on the eastern coast, just north of a promontory bearing the same name. The Acropolis Rock was the defining landmark of Lindos and its religious center for centuries. Finds show the site was inhabited during the Neolithic and Bronze Age, 4th to 2nd millennia BCE. The sanctuary of Athena Lindia on the Acropolis is believed to have been founded during the geometric period, 9th century BCE. Some scholars believe an earlier cult existed, dating to Mycenaean times, dedicated to a pre-Hellenic female deity, Lindia, associated with nature and fertility. This theory is also supported by the myth of Danaos, who founded the sanctuary with his daughters upon returning from Egypt. The site was first arranged during the rule of Cleobulus in the mid-6th century BCE. The first stone temple was built at the highest point of the Acropolis, possibly enclosed by a fortification wall. A staircase led from the entrance to the temple, surrounded by a peribolos. This layout remained largely unchanged for the next 2 centuries. The Lindian Chronicle mentions a fire in 392 BCE that damaged the temple, requiring its reconstruction. Research suggests the new temple was built around 300 BCE as part of a broader redesign of the sanctuary during the Hellenistic period. In the 3rd century BCE, the propylaea and grand staircase were built, followed by the large stoa, portico, at the end of the century. These structures gave the Acropolis a terraced, theatrical appearance, setting a model for public architecture. In the 1st century BCE, the terrace was extended with vaults and cisterns. The Acropolis remained a defensive stronghold during the Byzantine, medieval, and Ottoman periods. The Byzantine garrison commander likely resided here. In 1307 CE, the Knights of the Order of St. John captured the castle. Construction of the hospitaller fortress began in the 14th century CE and was completed in the 15th century CE. On the 30th of October, 1522 CE, the Lindos garrison surrendered the castle to the Ottoman Turks. A small Turkish garrison remained until 1844 CE. From 1902 to 1905 CE, the Danish archaeological mission conducted excavations, and restoration work was carried out during the Italian occupation. Here is the stern of a warship, Triemiolia. It is intricately detailed, featuring the aphleston at the right end and a richly decorated captain's seat shaped like a bird's wing. The relief itself was carved into the rock at the foot of the steps leading to the Acropolis. An inscription on the ship's hull attributes the work to the renowned Rhodian sculptor Pythokritos, son of Timocharis. The Rhodians' preference for depicting ships in art reflected both their strong maritime traditions and their confidence in the combat prowess of their fleet. Fortifications. The towering, precipitous crag of Lindos, on which the Acropolis stands, served as a natural fortress and safe haven for the city's inhabitants throughout all historical periods. The first fortified enceinte was built by the tyrant Cleobulus in the mid-6th century BCE. In the Hellenistic period, around the 3rd century BCE, a wall reinforced with rectangular towers was constructed on the same site. Today, small sections of these fortifications and the foundations of 2 towers on the north side of the Acropolis remain visible. The castle retained its fortified character during Byzantine times. The ramparts built by the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem were constructed atop the earlier Byzantine walls, making the castle of Lindos one of the strongest in the region, in accordance with the decree of Grand Master Orsini, circa 1474 CE. The wall was further reinforced with towers, including one at the southwest corner of the castle and another west of the headquarters, both of which have survived to this day. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the Ottomans added bastions at the 3 corners of the castle to effectively counter the increasing ballistic power of cannons. Stoa of Psithyros. The Stoa of Psithyros was built during the Roman period in the 2nd century CE, alongside the temple of Athena Lindia. This Roman-era Stoa, portico, was dedicated to the oracular deity Psithyros and defined the southern edge of the courtyard on the upper terrace of the Acropolis, situated between the Propylaea and the temple. Designed in the Ionic order, the Stoa was between 4 and 4.6 meters wide and featured a colonnade at its facade, consisting of either 5 or 7 columns, each likely standing at a height of approximately 4.26 meters. Its identification is based on an inscribed stone base dating to around 200 CE, which references Seleucus, who built a temple in honor of Psithyros and decreed that the god should not be worshipped with an offering of less than 1 drachma. Excavations by the Danish Archaeological Mission uncovered 5 sections of the colonnade stylobate, along with several column drums attributed to the monument. As part of restoration efforts funded by the NSRF, a column with its capital was fully restored to its original height. Additionally, the stylobate and sections of other columns were reconstructed, using primarily ancient materials. Hellenistic Stoa. The Stoa, designed in the Doric style with an open colonnade plan, consists of 2 roofed wings symmetrically arranged on either side of the grand staircase of the Propylaea. The unity of the structure, which spans approximately 89 meters in length, was achieved by aligning the columns of the wings along the front of the staircase. Built in the 1st century BCE, the terrace in front of the Stoa was extended with the addition of 14 vaults. In the center of the terrace, a new staircase replaced the previous one, leading up to the Stoa. Part of the earlier staircase can still be seen in the first vault to the west. Beneath the terrace, there are 2 groups of 5 cisterns, designed to collect rainwater from the roofs of both the Stoa and the Propylaea. These cisterns have an estimated total capacity of 300 cubic meters, and the wellheads of the cisterns are still visible. Excavations have uncovered the foundations of the Stoa, parts of the walls, and 7 columns, though they remain at a low height. Between 1936 and 1940 CE, 21 of the original 42 columns of the Stoa were restored, the walls were partially completed, and the terrace and eastern vaults were reconstructed. Recent restoration efforts have included the restoration of 26 columns, as well as the corresponding sections of the crepice, entablature, and the western wall of the eastern wing. Temple of Athena Lindia. The core of the sanctuary of Athena Lindia was the temple dedicated to the goddess, situated at the highest point of the Acropolis rock. The worship of Athena likely replaced an earlier cult of an unknown deity, which took place in the cave directly beneath the temple. The cave continued to be a place of worship in later times, known as the Chapel of the Virgin Spoliatissa. The architectural remains belong to a temple built in the late 4th century BCE, following the destruction of an earlier temple by fire in 392 BCE. The temple is in the Doric style, amphipro-style, with approximate dimensions of 22 by 8 meters. It consists of a pronaos, a cella, and an opisthodomos. Preserved in situ are the crepice in the opisthodomos, a large part of the west wall, and a small section of the east wall. Inside the cella, there was a low parapet behind which stood the table for offerings and the statue of the goddess Athena. Visible in the walls are grooves for wooden supports and nail holes for the revetments that covered the interior of the temple. On either side of the doorway, there was likely a list of the priests, a significant inscription containing the names of the priests from 406 BCE until 28 CE. Fragments of this inscription were later used to pave the floor of an early Christian basilica on the site of the tetrastone in the settlement. The temple was constructed from local sandstone, poros, which was coated with stucco, as were the other buildings on the Acropolis. Between 1936 and 1940 CE, the two colonnades of the prostasies were restored, and parts of the side walls of the temple were completed. During recent restorations, 2000 to 2005 CE, the earlier restorations were removed and replaced with new building materials. At the same time, errors from previous interventions were corrected, the column height was recalculated, and some ancient stone blocks were repositioned. Fragments of the ancient threshold were identified, completed with new material, and reinstated in their original place. The Church of St. John, Aeos Ioannis, was constructed in the 12th or 13th century CE, possibly on the site of an earlier Christian basilica dating back to the 6th century CE, as suggested by the surviving architectural elements. It follows the architectural style of the cross-in church. 2 rows of pillars divide the church into 3 aisles, which end in 3 apses at the eastern side. The central, 3-sided apse projects from the external wall. Later, a knight's headquarters was built to the north of the church and was connected to it via a single door opening into the narthex wall. During the period of Ottoman rule, the Byzantine church was converted into a mosque. Traces of the mihrab, prayer niche, can still be seen in the central apse. Most of the pillars and parts of the south wall of the church no longer exist, as they were dismantled during excavations to remove ancient inscriptions that were embedded in their fabric. The presence of the Christian church highlights the continuity of worship on the Acropolis throughout history.
dos, tres, cuatro.
Thank you for joining me for this stroll through the ancient Lindos Acropolis. If you enjoyed this online tour, please consider pressing the like button and subscribe to my channel. This helps a lot. And if you want to support my work, there is a link for a one-time donation in description of this video. Thank you and see you soon in future virtual walks.
Música